in the chat client with colors exercise that we just completed, we saw the use of a shape drawable in order to add some background color to the messages. Now let's examine drawables in a little more detail. In Android, we can make use of drawables for drawing shapes or images to the view. All the drawables come under the general class called as the Drawables class. The Drawables class has several subclasses which include bitmap, shape, picture, drawable, and so on. In particular, we saw the use of shape drawable in the previous example. Drawables in Android can be defined in 3 different ways. You can use an image that you store in the drawable folder as part of the view that you create on your user interface. You can also define drawables using XML code, as we saw with the example of the shape drawable. The third possible approach for creating drawables is to use Java code within part of your Java class to create the drawables. Now, if you create drawables in the form of XML files or you're using images, they are normally stored in the drawables folder of your resources folder of your project. Now, Android provides several different kinds of drawables. Bitmap drawables are the simplest, which uses either a PNG or a JPEG image for the purpose. We have 9patch, which allows you to define a PNG format and allows Android to automatically stretch parts of the image in order to fit for different screen sizes and shapes. Shape drawables allows you to use simple drawing commands like drawing rectangles, circles, and so on in the background on a raw bitmap, and allows you to define certain properties for these shape drawables. We saw the use of shape drawable where we used a rounded rectangle to define the background shape for our messages. You have other kinds of drawables called as layer drawables, stateless drawables, and so on, which we don't examine in this course, but can be very useful when you design user interfaces. In particular, let's look at the shape drawable. This is especially useful if you need to provide some kind of a background for a view that you already include in your user interface. As we saw with the messages, we wanted to highlight the messages by surrounding them with a background color. And this is where the shape drawable came to our rescue. In this slide, I have provided you with the snapshot of the shape drawable code, XML code, that we used in the chat client colors example. In particular, notice how we define the shape of the shape drawable to be a rectangle, and we specify that it is a solid color of one single color, and also specify the rectangle has a rounded corners by specifying the corner radius. Now these allow us to customize the way the rounded shape is drawn in practice. In addition, we could even define the background color to be a gradient. You could have the starting and ending color in a particular direction with 2 or 3 different colors, so that you have a gradient shading of your background. So that is also feasible. Now, once you define a shape drawable, then you can make use of the shape drawable to set the background of an existing view, as we saw us using it for setting the background of the linear layout in our message.xml file. So with that, we complete a quick discussion on drawables. I would suggest you examine other kinds of drawables that are available in Android by looking them up on the Android developers website. You might find some of them useful for other purposes, but the general principles are similar to what we have done with the shape drawable. Now we will move on to the next exercise, where we will continue to extend the chat client example by adding toolbars and recycler views. So this is where we add a little bit of material design features into our application.